Statistics as of 2016 show that about 6 times the US population's data has already been stolen. So you can pretty much assume that all of our data has already been breached. And while the Equifax breach made the news this year, it was the 23rd breach that was publicly disclosed this year. So it's safe to assume that everybody's data is already stolen and that data breaches happen all the time. We just don't know about it. So fraud's obviously on the rise as a result of that. The e-commerce industry generally is now moving towards tokenization of data. That is, your card information and your cardholder identity information are both being obscured into a random number almost that's a reference pointer to the actual data, so that when you end up making a purchase, the merchant doesn't actually get back the raw information about the credit card that was used or the identity behind that credit card that they get to inject into the database, which could potentially be breached. Instead, the card networks and the issuing banks are essentially going to return back this obfuscated piece of information that in itself is useless if breached, right? And that's the tactic they're trying to use because, you know, all of these people don't use encryption properly. One of the things we realized earlier on when we started this company was it's very easy for someone to steal our identity, alter it, and then go attack 100 banks simultaneously with it, and then run away with $100 million in a take. It is much more difficult for someone to synthesize the network connections around identities, because those connections online in these networks represent the connections between us and the people we know in the real world, right? So if a fraudster had to not only steal your identity, alter it, create a fake profile, but now have to surround that profile with authentic social proof, they now have the burden in terms of time and effort and cost, not just to create one profile, but to create 500 profiles on just one network just to vouch for that one profile, right? So now that becomes an economic barrier. Human beings, on the other hand, naturally using these networks, create that social proof and that human psychographic behavioral pattern through just normal life and normal use. For a fraudster to replicate that, even if they had access to botnets, is next to impossible, and also not economically feasible for them. We've also done studies of how fraudsters are aging social profiles. It turns out that they can monetize a fake profile 10 times over by not actually selling the fake profile itself, but monetizing the artifacts from it. That means that they can make money selling the likes and the shares and the followers from each fake identity that they create than selling the actual fake identity.